Hello everyone, before we get to this week's topic, I'd like to introduce you to myself and what hopefully will become a frequent article on Field of Fire Gaming, Crux of the Matter. My name is Frank, or Frankie DeSalvo, known in some other online circles as Glorious Space Noid, and I'm our local Space Marine player. I've been playing Warhammer 40k since I was a little Frankie boy in the closing days of 5th grade, and by just a few months I've nearly been playing Space Marines for just as long. My first army was actually 3rd edition Demon Hunters. Seems so long ago. Regardless, I'm looking to use this weekly bit of content to focus on specific aspects of the game that I feel that I know at least some sense of. I tried thinking of some other Space Marine related names for the title, and I almost called it Service Studs, but then I realized what would happen if you Googled that, and yeah. Anyway, I might not know the in-game meta the best or stay up to date with what dank meme lists are commonly running around, but I can proudly say that I've never used a net list, and even when I do, rarely use popular detachments or components of a list like a Gladius Strike Force or Hunter's Eye respectively. I always try to make the list my own. And I even do alright for myself. I promise. That all being said, I'm sure you didn't come to look at this just to hear me talk about myself, so without further ado, let's tackle today's topic. Playing to the objective. Yes, I know it's pretty basic, but you clicked on this hopefully having seen the title, so what were you expecting? Now, having said a few words on our topic, let's go back to me for a second. You know what else I'm hugely into? Fighting games. I love Street Fighter, Soul Calibur, Guilty Gear, most of them. Now, what does this have to do with little plastic spacemen, you might be asking? Well, there's one specific tiny little oft-overlooked word that they have in common. Fundamentals. Playing to the objective is a fundamental skill, a basic aspect in just about any game, but it is definitely a very important one in games involving tactics, like everyone's favorite grimdark 4-dimensional chess game. And it's one that I see, when neglected, causes people to lose games, myself included. Don't get me wrong, in the end, Warhammer 40k is a dice game. If your dice have decided to screw you at a certain point, it simply doesn't matter what sort of perfect, flawless strategy you may have devised. However, especially at recent events like ATC, playing to the objective is a fundamental skill that can help you at least get points for your team, or even tie it up if you have a mind to, as well as the loaded dice you've kept in your left pocket. Now, let me go the rhetorical question route, take off my imaginary glasses, step up to my podium, mic stand, and ask, what is playing to the objective? I can't hear any of you answering, even though I said it was a rhetorical question, so I'm going to guess it's alright for me to answer. The answer is single-mindedly focusing on one goal you have decided is sure to bring victory. Let me use my recent experience at ATC as an example. Now, I did pretty well. I won 4 out of 6 of my games, running a Gladius I'd seasoned to my liking. When making this Gladius, I stuck to 2 commandments in my head. The first and foremost being, I will hold the objective. This is by far a Gladius Strike Force's greatest strength between its bodies and objective security rule. It's what it does, and very few to no other lists can compete with it in this way. The second thing I kept in mind was firepower. I had 8 Razorbacks in the list. 6 had assault cannons, 2 had las cannons. The Devastators had 4 las cannons in each squad, and I'd even brought 2 command squads on bikes, each with 4 grav guns on those not giving their sorry asses feel no pain. There was a melta gun in each tactical squad, and the 2 assault squads had 2 flamers each. Needless to say, I was packing heat. Coupled with the army basically being twin-linked for 4 turns in the game thanks to Ultramarine chapter tactics, I was very confident that I could outshoot whatever was coming to fight me on those objectives. Unfortunately, on the 2 games I lost, I had forgotten about my primary tenet. The first was against a brutal Eldar list that belonged to the leader of the group that would go on to win ATC, Team Happy. For whatever reason, I wanted those space elves dead. The primary mission was Emperor's Will, and looking back, I could have easily won that if I had practiced what I'm trying to preach right now. A Gladius and other lists with a focus on board control usually has dudes. Lots and lots of dudes. Dudes for days. Dudes to blot out the sun. You'll be losing on kill points almost every game, but if you really focus on controlling something as small as 2 objectives, you should be immovable. My Gladius had 29 possible kill points. If I had split those down the middle, half of my army on each objective, I can say that I may have pulled out at least a victory on the primary against my opponent. My second loss against a Fleshhound Screamer Demonic Incursion was more or less the same problem. It was even the same mission. I had drop pods on the list as well. I could have landed them on their home objectives while I bubble wrapped my own and wait for the game to end. Why didn't I do that? I must have caught Bloodlust or something. I'm so damn stupid sometimes. Man, hindsight really must be a thing Zinch made or something. Does anything torture wargamers more? Anything? Uh-oh. Right. My own personal failings aside, I'm talking about more than just camping objectives in the right or wrong way. I'm talking about if you are a Tau player, that you make sure you focus fire and pick apart an enemy list until they can't grab points when they need to. I'm talking about surviving long enough as Eldar to wait until the end of the game and jump on every objective with your bikes or warp spiders. I'm talking about going balls out with Imperial Knights and making sure you win by tabling your opponent. I'm talking about sometimes putting what you want to do in the game to the side and doing what needs to be done if that's what it takes to win. Legally, of course. You may really want to molt some Imperial Guard in close combat, but when there's objectives on the field you need to be controlling by the end of the game or even the beginning of your next turn, getting stuck in a dog pile with the Emperor's Hammer is perhaps not the brightest idea. And at the same time, keep in mind of what you and your opponent's armies can feasibly do. You shouldn't be expecting a Khorne Demonkin player to hold home objectives as well as Necrons do. And if your opponent feels like guarding his home objective with them, then by all means shoot him off of them. 9 times out of 10, as much as he'd really like to, he can't shoot back. And hey, don't take it from me. Some old Chinese guy wrote in a book one time, indeed, part of the basic fundamentals of playing a game of tactics and strategy is making sure you stick to the mission at hand. And while, again, in the end, Warhammer and such games do come down to dice rolls or jank-ass rules, it doesn't hurt stacking the deck the best you can by playing the best you can. No matter the contest, even the greats, whoever they may be, have a solid grasp on fundamentals. That's the basis, the brick and mortar, the core, the crux of what makes them great. So until next time, this has been Crux of the Matter, and this is Frankie signing off.